Hi, my name is Greg Rodriguez and I'm a therapist. I've been practicing for about a decade, full-time. Much of the work I do now centers on men's roles, men's relationships, primarily in the area of marriage and family. For today, we're just going to focus on the family piece. Men, are you feeling frustrated? You're feeling overwhelmed, sleep deprivation, anxiety, anger, outbursts? The fact is what you may be experiencing is a condition we call parenting. Now, all men suffer to some degree or another of MGRS. What is MGRS? Male gender role stress. What does that mean? Basically means it's tough to be a man. It's tough to be a dad. Women they have their own stress, but MGRS is something that we men all experience. We're the gatekeepers. Everything that happens to our family comes through us. That can be very overwhelming. Usually this condition peaks in the teen years, because now what we've taught our parenting from before is now being tested. Now, how do we get past that? How do we deal with that? Fact is first we got to understand that we can't do this our way anymore. The world that we live in is way different from what we grew up in. Those old ways, and I do see men still using those old ways, aren't going to work anymore. Our way is not good enough. I see good men struggling, their kids struggling. They're there at home. They're giving their kids good things. But yet their kids are also struggling and falling to the same things that non-Christian kids are struggling with. So, what do we do about this? First of all, again, we can't do it our way. There is a better way. And that's what I'm here for. Just talk about what's a better way to do this thing we call parenting, fatherhood. Men, first of all, we have to embrace that this is our most important job. Fatherhood is our most important job, second only to our marriage. The fact but we're not giving it the time and the effort that we need to. We were designed for fatherhood. Jesus referred to God as Father, often. Even to the point calling him Abba, which means daddy. He designed us for this. He did not design this. He equipped us not to fail. But the fact is we're not doing our part. God has a standard. He has a goal. The goal is his kingdom, to get you and your family to heaven. Is that what you're shooting for? Is that how you're fathering and parenting? The fact is we have to have a vision. How many people here have seen the movie Courageous? In the movie Courageous, the lead character at the end of the movie gives his vision for fatherhood. Very, very emotional and just an awesome scene. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go on YouTube and you can just click on the ending of that movie. He didn't start out that way. He was a good man, but the fact is in the movie you could see he was there, but he wasn't present. His son would walk by and there wouldn't be a word between them. It wasn't until a tragedy happened in his family where the daughter died in a car accident where he realizes, I'm not being the father that I'm called to be. He turned it around, he got himself involved with other men, and the fact is he turned it around. Now, in Psalm 28:19, it says, where there is no vision, my people will perish. The fact is he had a vision. God has a vision. I want to share that vision with you, that there is a better way. Now, it starts with a knowledge and understanding of three things. One is your job description. As I said, this is the most important job you have. The job that you go outside and work at, that's not your job. That's not your purpose. That's a vehicle to lead your family, to help you lead and provide. So, the fact is your job as a father is your purpose and deserves everything you got. I know many times I hear, what about me? I'm tired. I worked and I come here at home and I just feel drained. Well, I'm sorry, man, but the fact is your family is your job. Your family is your legacy. The other thing you need to understand is your children's deeper emotional needs. Men, fathers, you impart your child's identity upon them. How they see themselves, how they see the world, and how they see themselves in the world. Men, you are the deciding factor in how well your children will do those first 18 years and beyond. So are you giving enough time and effort? You also need to understand team. You're the coach. You're the captain. Fact is, but a lot of times we don't use our wives in a way as a helpmate. We need to be working together. You need to have a united front with your wife when you're dealing, especially when you're dealing with teens, because they will see right through that. They will see the cracks and they'll use that. Case in point, dealing with a 17-year-old girl who was caught with some inappropriate pictures on her phone she had been sending. So the fact is they took her phone away, which I understand was fine, to keep her from doing those things, but that was the plan. How did they earn it back? Actually, if I remember correctly, she already had her phone back. But there was no follow-up to that. So I said, okay, so we need to talk about how to fix this. You're addressing the symptom, but not the problem. So the fact is we have to work together closely as a team. We need each other to do that. A united front, what happened was when they first came to me, the fact is that we're having a problem with our daughter. It's mostly the conflict that we have in our marriage as a result of our daughter. So they said, so when should we bring her in after the first couple sessions? And I said, before we bring her in, we have to fix you guys. Well, within a couple sessions, they were able to turn that around. Dad took that step. Awesome, Dad. And the fact is and then they found that what was happening with their daughter became much easier to deal with. Mom came into session a couple sessions later and she goes, my daughter called me a phony. And she asked, I said, did you ask her why? And she said, yeah. She says, you know what, because you never dealt with Dad this way before. So she saw this united front and the issues became more manageable for this couple. So team is really important. We also need to understand relationship and rules, okay? The fact is we need rules, but if we have too many rules, we're setting ourselves up for conflict, we're setting ourselves up for conflict with our teens, and it's going to be a bad thing. So the thing is the less rules we have, the better it's going to be, but that's dependent upon your relationship with your child. So relationship, never put the relationship first. Put the relationship first. All right, symptoms and problems. We talked about the 17-year-old with her phone. Addressing the phone issue was addressing the symptom, but there was no steps being taken to address the problem. So the fact is, I said, you know what, she needs to get in some counseling, because why she's sending the pictures is the problem. If you don't address that, then this is going to keep happening. That's an example of addressing both symptom and problem. Discipline. Discipline means to teach. Most times parents are setting up a system where it's punishment, with no opportunity to earn back those privileges that this child once lost. So we need to understand, what are we teaching? Is it fair? Is it appropriate to the circumstances? And is it attainable, meaning they can get this back? Whatever they lost, they can get back. Again, that can create a lot of conflict within the family when you don't have that proper discipline. Communication. Excuse me. Communication. I don't know, what I find a lot of times is that men have a difficult time being with their children, not knowing what to talk about. Or they say, you know what, well, when I ask a question, I get this fine, or I don't know, and they don't know what to do with that. So I tell them two things, is the listen rule. The twice rule. Listen twice as much and don't lecture. The fact is children have information. We live in a world where information is all over. So they don't need more information, but they need you to listen. So listening big is a big piece as far as your communication goes. Excuse me. In terms of communication, let's talk about that. How much time do you think the average father spends with their child one-on-one? 9 minutes. 9 minutes. Some of you may be thinking, sounds about right if you add it up. Some of you may be thinking, well, I spend more time with my kid than that. Well, good for you, but here's the thing. It's how you're spending that time with them. There should be 3 components in that time that you're spending with them. This is a takeaway. Relationship building. What does that mean? Basically, I'm pouring myself into my kids. I'm telling them about me. They getting to know you intimately. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What was it like for you growing up? But also, too, you're taking the time to know them. It takes time, but it's asking good questions. No whys. Call it open and ended question. You need to ask a question that gets them to process further. Relationship building. Listening is the second piece. We already talked about that, listening to understand, and then we have the teaching piece. Now, teaching is different from lecturing. The fact is you're there as a coach. If you're dealing with a teenager, you're there more to counsel and guide, not necessarily to tell them what to do. Help them figure out what they want in this situation and why they want it. Because right now, if like I said, if they're a teenager, they're basing these things, they know the values and the morals and the beliefs that you set up, that's what they're gonna, that's where you need them to get to go to make this decision. So those are the 3 things that your communication should have. And then the final piece is spiritual leadership. As again, I said earlier, can't do this our way. This is to lead God's way. We need, in order to lead God's way, we need to know His way. Jesus is the model. Servant leadership. So men, you need prayer. You need other men in your life. Most men that I speak with don't have those support systems, aren't connected, they're isolated, doing life alone. That's not healthy. You're at risk, you're vulnerable. You need other men in order to lead your family God's way. Fatherhood is the most important job that you will have. Only second your marriage. Your family deserves the best that you have to offer. Your family is your legacy. It's what you're leaving behind. How do you want to be remembered? What does that look like, that legacy now? I know one of the most difficult pieces that I run into is when I'm dealing with an older adult, typically alone, individually, and they talk about their adult children and they're struggling. It just tears them up. I know you don't want that for your family. God doesn't want that for your family. The most satisfying work I do is when I'm working with a family. When I'm able to build a bridge to that teenager, when I'm able to build a bridge between that teenager and their family, when I can start helping them with discipline and communication and seeing how, as it evolves, a better, more cohesive unit, and to see them functioning better, in a much better way. That's going to avoid some of those problems. The greatest reward I have is what I see at home. I have 5 kids and I got 6 grandkids. So when we're at family meals or we're at holiday gatherings and we're all gathered around the table holding hands and I'm able to do a prayer blessing around us, seeing what I'm leaving behind, in spite of my mistakes, my shortcomings, God has blessed me with the grace, the mercy, and the strength to lead my family His way. And He'll do that same thing for you. He can do so much with our so little, but He just needs to see us going to Him first and taking a step. Man, this is my challenge for you today. Based on the little information I gave you here today is to take one step, identify one step, one area that you could work on and focus on to be better at. There's no excuses, like I said. The resources out there, books, classes, workshops, those things are out there. Your family deserves that, and God will bless those efforts. May God bless you, your efforts, and your family.